Hi everyone, welcome back. This is Dante Ferrigno with Ferrigno Freedom YouTube channel. It's good to see you here again. I know I've been talking about how I'm going to be getting into this house soon on my last few videos. We're still not in, so I'm still coming to you from the tiny house out here in the 24-foot shed that we have been living in for the past year and a half. And I appreciate you guys being patient with me while we're in this transition stage. I wanted to come and talk to you today about something. I get a lot of questions in the comments about gout because there really people that have had gout talk about it being pain that comes when the wind blows, and it seems like everything hurts when they have it. I have never had gout that I know of. I've had people in my life that have had gout, and it looked pretty awful because they were just in such miserable pain. And I get a lot of questions about it because of high urea or uric acid, and I really don't know all of the answers, but I've watched in the past videos that put this together for me, but even then I wasn't really clear. So I thought, you know what I want to do today is I want to go through and look at a few different doctors talking about gout and see if we can't get to the bottom of what causes this and if it's something that carnivores should worry about. Because you hear all the time that you're going to get gout if you eat too much red meat. Well, all I've eaten for 2 years and 5 months is red meat. So how come I haven't gotten gout yet? How come I haven't gotten any of the problems that the doctors and everybody else has said for so many years that eating red meat would cause? Let's take a closer look at it, because I want to be able to help other carnivores have the answers that they need. And I want to know the answers myself. We'll start with this one. Now this one is a 2-part section from Dr. Kim. And I looked up Dr. Kim. Dr. Kim is a podiatrist, and gout often starts in the big toe, or at least that's where the problem usually is. And that was even for the people that I've known that have had it in their big toe. So let's see what Dr. Kim has to say about it. He seems like he would be a qualified expert.
If you experience gout, you know how painful it is and triggered by our favorite foods. Some have even compared to childbirth. But what if I told you that you can have total food freedom and no more fear of a gout flare-up? There are many misconceptions and harmful misunderstandings surrounding gout. So I'm busting all of those myths today. Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Kim. I've been a holistic podiatrist for over 30 years now. If you've dealt with gout, you know that it is incredibly painful. Today I'm going to teach you how to alkalize your body, reduce inflammation, and balance your body's acidity to live gout-free. Let's get right into it. Now let's talk about number one unexpected cause of gout. Now, because a lot of people think it is what you eat and what you drink. People think it's the red meat, it's the sugar, it's the beer, and the wine. It is true. However, I'm going to tell you the number one unexpected cause of gout, which is this one. Overproduction of the uric acid level, and then the lack of elimination of the uric acid in your kidneys. Now, this is the number one cause because it's responsible for 2/3 of the problem, and the other one that everybody knows about is the high uric acid by eating and drinking is only 1/3. So this is very important for you to understand the number one cause so that you can get your food freedom, because you don't have to worry about food as much. You have to more worry about not producing it as much and also eliminating uric acid so that you would be gout free. Now first, high uric acid level is not only produced in the liver, but also it's not being eliminated in the kidneys, so you have a high uric acid level. And then your body is too acidic. We're going to talk about why. And then you're not taking enough water to wash it off in your kidneys, so you are dehydrated. And then if you have high insulin level, like diabetes, you naturally have very high uric acid level at the same time. Then what is gout? Let's talk a little bit about gout. Gout is an arthritis. This uric acid, that's a byproduct of, we're going to talk a lot about the uric acid. It's a byproduct of your cell's metabolism, and then it becomes uric acid and it crystallizes in your joints, especially your big toe and other joints. It's extremely painful. And we call them the wind pain. In Korean and Chinese, we call them tongpung. Tong means pain, pung means wind. That means when the wind blows, you have pain. That's how painful this is. This is so painful that next to kidney stones and childbirth, this goes right up there with it. So this is very, very painful situation. Then who gets the gout? Now, about 8.3 million people in the United States have gout. That's a lot of people, like 8-9% of the people have this. 90% of people male over 40. So a lot of this problem is male, and then older male person gets this. But 6% of male and 2% of female. So it's a lot of people get this gout. And as you can see, you're not alone. If you have gout, all these famous people also had gout. Now, what are the symptoms of gout? First one is you have this joint problem, because these crystals, we call them urate crystals, this uric acid crystal ends up in the joint as a sharp, like needle-looking thing, and it's poking in the joint, so it's extremely painful. Imagine millions and millions of this sharp, like tack-looking thing, and it's just attacking your joint space, so it's really burning and itching and tingling, and it's red and swollen joint, warm and painful, and it gets so stiff that it's not moving very well, so you can't walk and you can do other things. Nodules and tophi, meaning they crystallize into a big, like a lump of tissue. We call them nodules and tophi, and it becomes red and even purplish skin around it, and you also can get a fever because it's just so painful. And in fact, I've hospitalized a patient. They came in and there was just so much in pain, so I had to put him in the hospital, pump in a lot of morphine and other pain medication to really calm down the inflammation. That's how painful it could be. So how to diagnose gout? If you come see me, this is what I do. First, well, I don't do this all the time, but first we have to do definitively to see it. I will numb the toe, and then I will suck out the fluid and send it to the laboratory, and they'll look at it under the microscope to see these crystals that are in there. And then you can also do a blood test, and then you take the blood, and then you take the uric acid and creatinine level, and then when you have it higher, obviously you can have a gout. But when it's low, doesn't mean you don't have it. It's not very dependable because I've seen really, really swollen, it's definitely a gout type of a problem, but when I take the blood, the uric acid level wasn't high. So it's not that dependable, but if you have a high uric acid level, then you definitely have gout.
Okay, so that's very interesting that sometimes they can have gout symptoms, but have low uric acid in the blood. So it's not a dependable test, but if there's a lot of uric acid, it is dependable? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It seems like it's not dependent upon whether it's high or low, or it's dependent on if it's low, but it's dependent on it being high, but not if it's low. If it's not low, then it... So it's... let me just make a note of that. That's strange. Blood.
And then the x-rays and ultrasound and CT scan. We take x-rays to see the progression of this joint, because if somebody had it for a long time and did not know that, then you can really mess up the joint and it can cause a lot of arthritis in the joint. So we take an x-ray to look at the integrity of the joint, and also you can use ultrasound and CT scan to take a little better look as well. And then where are the gouts? Now gouts are, we talked about the joints, especially the big toe, and which is why a lot of people come see me with gout, is that 50% of the problem end up in the big toe. The rest of the problem, it can happen on the fingers, elbows, knees and hips and ankles and shoulders. It can happen in a lot of places, but it happens in the coldest part of the body, your hands and your feet most commonly, because that's where it crystallizes. And then the bursa, meaning it's a little sac that becomes really hard.
So kidney stones are a form of gout. Interesting. I hadn't thought of that. So it can be uric acid that causes the stones in kidneys also. Because I know that kidney stones can often be made of oxalates, oxalic acid. So I guess this is the different version of kidney stones, because it's still something getting hard in crystal form. Interesting. Let's just see what he has to say about that.
Painful around the joint. It's like a pillow that protects the joint, and that becomes very stiff and painful as well. And it can happen on the tendon sheath, which is not common. I've only seen maybe 1 or 2 last 30 years. And then it can happen in your kidney as a kidney stones. You've heard that before. Like it can end up as a cardiovascular disease, or you can create dry eye like cataracts. And it also can cause a stenosis around your spine as well, because is such a hard crystal, they can crystallize in your joints and they can really mess up and create a lot of arthritis. Then there are two types of uric acid. Now, this is a very important portion that you have to understand to get your food freedom from your gout. The first type is the endogenous. Endogenous, that means that your uric acid is created within your own body. Now, this is the part that a lot of people don't know. A lot of people think it's what you eat and what you drink, which is true, but this is the two-thirds of the uric acid that's in your body right now is made from your own body because of the two reasons. Number one is a byproduct of your DNA and RNA breakdown. As you know, our DNA is constantly copying our cells to make proteins. You can make your hair, you can make your skin, you can make your heart. It's making a lot of different things. When you're doing these reactions, you can have a byproduct of these things called a purine. And when this purine breaks down, it's called uric acid. So as you can see, there's a lot of action going on with DNA. So bodies, through the metabolism, is producing its own uric acid on a daily basis in your liver. And then when your body is not doing well, and uric acid is also an antioxidant. It's a very strong killer of all the bad things, all the bacteria. It can kill a lot of things. It's very strong acid. So it can work as an antioxidant, right? Oxidation, rusting and decaying process, it's antioxidant. So it kills and neutralizes all these toxins to get rid of infection, inflammation, all of those things. And then it increases your antioxidant because it is an antioxidant. So your body produces it because your body is not doing well. Whether you have infection or inflammation, when you're not healthy, you have an imbalance of all your nutrition, and you have a lot of acidic part of your body, then your body produces uric acid to actually help you. So it increases your immune system. It actually stimulates your nervous system to be happier and better functioning at the same time. So it has two reasons that your body, especially your liver, is making it, because your body's breaking down the DNA. And also, when your body's not healthy, it works as an antioxidant to help your immune system, help you calm down the inflammation, and help your body work better. So the diabetics.
Okay, before we get into the diabetics question, who would have thought? I mean, I never would have thought that uric acid had positive side effects. It seems like it's just something that causes trouble. But antioxidant effect, it boosts your immune system and it stimulates your nervous system. And our body creates it. Two-thirds of it, the endogenous uric acid, all of that endogenous uric acid comes from our own body, and it has those positive effects. All right, let's go on.
The obesity, a lot of obese patients tend to produce naturally more uric acid because your metabolism is not working well. The body is really, really acidic. So uric acid is actually there to help you. It's been produced in your liver to actually help you to break down all the products, as well as help you fight your infection, fight inflammation. So actually it's a good thing for you. The problem is you just cannot get rid of it from your body, and there's a reason for that. And then that's why you have this gouty attack. And the other type that we all know about, people know already, that exogenous is from the outside. It's only 1/3. So when you eat these kind of food, you already know this, right? If you gout, you already read a lot of things your doctor probably talked to you about, and a lot of animal products, really dense animal products, that the red and organ meat has a lot of purine rich type of products, shellfish, anchovy, mackerel, even the good plants, right? Even the beans and lentils and peas and spinach and cauliflower, a lot of really good stuff has a lot of purine in there. They can break down and cause more gout to come about, especially asparagus, which is my favorite. And then obviously you know that beer and then wines and hard liquor has an effect that it causes more uric acid level, and a lot of high fructose corn syrup on your diet soda, and a lot of canned food, a lot of packaged food has a lot of those, a lot of processed food, a lot of soft drinks have a lot of sugar in there that can trigger your gout to come about. A lot of medication like diuretics, aspirin, immunosuppressant, a lot of medication can cause your uric acid level to go up at the same time. So these are the exogenous level, only responsible for about 1/3 of your uric acid that you're consuming, you're putting into your body that can trigger your gout, but it's only 1/3. I want you to really remember that.
Okay, before we go on, I wanna just kind of point out what he just said there. It's very interesting to me, is that animal meats, red and organ meats, which is all I eat currently, shellfish, anchovy, mackerel, plants, greens, beans, lentils, peas, soy, spinach, cauliflower, and asparagus. So a whole array of seafoods, but also a whole bunch of different vegetables. Now, a lot of these are also high in oxalates, like spinach, for instance. So that's interesting to me. Alcohol, sugars, all of that seems to me like those are the things that I've weeded out. And I know oxalates are related to the green vegetables especially. I don't know about how oxalates and sugar and alcohol are related, but it is interesting to see that there are so many similarities here with the exception of the meat option. Well, let's keep going because I really want to understand why I can eat red meat all the time and not have gout, if that's that can cause it. Now, it is 1/3. The exogenous is only 1/3 of your overall uric acid in your body. But let's see what his conclusion is.
1/3. I want you to really remember that. So then let's recap about this whole situation. What's the number one unknown cause of the high uric acid level that causes gout? As we already talked about, increased production in your liver to help you. It's a metabolic breakdown of your protein, especially your DNA, and then it works as an antioxidant to tamp down your inflammation, your infection, and all those things. So your liver is producing a lot of uric acid to help you, actually. Okay? And then the problem with the kidney is that in your kidney is supposed to get rid of all of this uric acid, but because of your body's too acidic, you have a really bad diet, you're eating a lot of sugar, you have a lot of things that accumulate that makes your body very acidic, a lot of bad oil, like a lot of sugar in your system, that you're being diabetic, you're obese, you're having a lot of bad food in your system, and that can cause your acid level to go up, and then your kidney cannot eliminate your uric acid from your body. And then when you're not taking enough water in too, and that's another problem, that your body is not flushing out all the things through your kidneys, so you tend to keep more uric acid. On top of that, when you eat those food that has a lot of purine and that causes uric acid, then you're gonna have a gout flare. So how do we do it? We're gonna talk about it on the next video.
Real quick, I do want to cover that a little bit more, what he was just talking about. Your body's too acidic. You're eating too much sugar. That's causing your kidneys not to allow you to get rid of the uric acid. You're not drinking enough water. I used to never drink enough water. Never used to drink water hardly at all, unless I had to because I was outside in the sun and there was only a garden hose to drink out of or something like that. And then high insulin level. Why would you have a lot of insulin in your bloodstream? Whether you're eating a lot of sugar or you're even drinking diet sodas and things like that cause your body to start producing insulin to treat sugar that's not even there. So these things seem to be the bigger culprit for not getting the uric acid out of your body. So if only 1/3 of the uric acid comes from what you eat, then the most important thing is not how much uric acid you're getting from what you eat, but how much uric acid you can get out of your body, and what you eat affecting that is the most important thing. And he pointed out sugar, water, and insulin specifically as hindering that progress. That seems to be it must be the larger factor, because I eat meat nonstop. I mean, I obviously stop, but I mean, that's the only thing I eat. It's the only thing I've eaten for 2 years and 5 months, and I haven't had any gout flare-ups. And based on these numbers and based on some other things I may not be understanding about my own blood work, but I should already have gout based on the fact that people say if you eat a lot of red meat, it's going to cause this problem. But it seems to me like it's more about how much you can get out through your kidneys.
So how do we do it? We're going to talk about it on the next video, my home remedies and all the things you can do. But I want to give you a little bit of a taste of that. It's just, you have to.
We'll just skip right to that video instead. All right, it's called Relief Fast, 6 Home Remedies for Gout.
So let's get into 6 home remedies for gout. Now, I want to talk briefly about the 6, and then I'm going to go into the medical treatment for gout. In case you have too much pain, you have to come see me or other doctors for this problem so that we can treat that in the office. But I'd like you to try the holistic home remedies first before you get to the doctor. So let's talk about that. First one is hydration. You are dehydrated. Most of us have a dehydration problem, and you're not alone. If you have gout, that means you're not eliminating all the uric acid through your kidneys. That means you're not taking enough water. So hydration is a big problem. Alkalization is another huge problem.
I think another issue with hydration is that not only do we not take in enough water on average in general, regular folks eating regular foods like I was up until before eating this way. Now all I drink is water and club soda. Most people are drinking things that cause you to be dehydrated. There are diuretics in one way or another. Alcohol will definitely leave you dehydrated. So, I used to drink a whole lot more than I ever thought I should. Based on the way I drink now, I drank like a fiend before. And I always thought that I drank in moderation. But since I never drink now, I have had one drink in the past year and a half. And that I didn't enjoy that experience again because it was like drinking poison after I gotten this out of my system. And then I realized that this was just the norm for somebody like me and somebody like the person that I knew that had gout too. They drank too much alcohol, and that could have been a huge contributing factor. But the first thing they tell them to do is stop eating meat. Now they did tell them to stop drinking too, that was required, but seems like it's a bigger factor than just the meat idea that everybody seems to be sold on being the cause of gout.
Probably one of the biggest problems is that our body is too acidic. We take a lot of things inside. Our body is very acidic to begin with because we're just not healthy. When that happens, your body produces a lot of uric acid and then it does not eliminate it. So it keeps a lot of uric acid in your body. And then you take a lot of food that has high purine or uric acid, then you're going to have a gout flare-up. So it's important for you to alkalize and how to do that all the time so you don't have to worry about eating certain things that may flare up your gout. Now, next one is supplements. There are a lot of supplements that are really, really good for your gout. So we're going to talk about that. And then the exercise. Exercise is really important. Why? Because it alkalizes your body. It makes your body move. Everything works better. You're going to be drinking more water. Everything will be more hydrated. More metabolism will be improving. So overall, your health will improve, which will help the gout flare up at the same time. Stress and sleep. You cannot leave out stress. A lot of people are stressed. When you're too stressed, guess what? Your body becomes alkalized. When you're not getting enough sleep, your body becomes acidic. So it's very important for you to rest and be less stressful, and then have a better sleep at night, which will all help to decrease the chance of gout flare-up. Also, your weight, when you increase your weight and you have a diabetes, they also increase your uric acid production naturally, and it can cause more gout flare-up at the same time. So we're going to talk about how do we take care of these issues holistically at home. But in case you don't get better, then you have to go see a doctor, right? So let's talk about 3 medical treatments for gout. First one is, when you come see me, first thing I'm going to do is give you some medication because it's emergency, basically. It's very urgent. So it's very important. Thank God you had this problem during the day and you called my office and you came to see me. But if this happens at nighttime, you have to go to the ER or urgent care, right? So thank God, because now you came to see me. So I'm going to give you some very strong medication. Now these are no joke. These are very strong medication because my goal is to get the pain away, get the inflammation away, as soon as possible. So I give you Indocin twice a day, very strong. I usually recommend my patients to have Indocin with them all the time. In case you get a gout flare-up while you're traveling, or you go somewhere, you don't have access to medical care, this is the medication you need. Because once you start feeling this gout coming on, then you start taking this right away, then you may not have a gout flare-up, or you may have it, but it's not going to be as strong. So it's very important to have Indocin with you all the time. Okay, this is your emergency medicine. Now, Colchris is another one that's really, really strong, and it's much stronger than Indocin even, because you have to keep taking this until you either vomit or you have diarrhea. That's how strong this medicine, and that's when you stop. So, but it's very strong. I rarely use it because I have other ways to treat this problem, but I usually have people have Indocin with them Also, other pain medication may be necessary. Chronic disease, if you have a lot of this problem all the time and you just can't get rid of it, then you take allopurinol or uroloric. They work on your kidney to allow the uric acid to get eliminated better. So these are the medications that you may use, or your primary doctor may put you on these medications. And hopefully you don't need it, because if you're doing the holistic treatment to get your body more alkalized, then you may not need this medication, but you may. Next one is injection. When you come see me, this is my main thing. This is my main thing. I'm gonna give you medicine to go home with, so you can keep taking the medicine until next few days, until everything calms down, but you may need either cortisone or Traumil. They both work quite well. If it's really inflamed and it's crazy, like painful, then I use cortisone. I don't like cortisone that much in your joints, but this is one time I use it to quickly get rid of pain, because that's why you came in to see me. So that's Traumil that we talked about. The herbal injection that I use is very powerful as well. It's a little swollen but not extremely painful. Then I use herbal medicine, which is my preference, but sometimes it's so painful, so red, and so incredibly just unbearable that I have to use cortisone sometimes. But it's very effective. Right after the shot.
This is the thing about medicine too, is that, you know, I hate to throw out the whole baby with the bathwater on the medicine, because there are medicines that can be really important. And when you're in pain, when you're in real pain, having somebody to be able to give you something like a cortisol injection into a joint that's hurting can be the difference between getting your job done and taking care of your family. You know, I mean, it's real important for people to be able to operate without pain. But we're emphasizing here, once again, is avoiding having this through proper diet and proper health. And most of the things that he mentioned about those symptoms, having a proper diet like I have had now for 2 years and 5 months, is helped me to sleep better, to be able to wake up more energized, to be able to have that extra weight off, to not have so much insulin or not any insulin being produced by my pancreas, because I'd hardly ever eat any sugar. And if I do, it's usually because something was in a meat that I didn't know it was in there. So, I mean, I'm not over producing insulin anymore. And that's the key, is being able to avoid these problems. And as long as your body, as long as your kidney is able to process all this uric acid and get it out of your body, then it seems like you're not going to have any troubles. And that's why, even though you might have a high amount of uric acid, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have gout, as long as your body is being able to process it. So if your kidney, your creatinine, and your EGFR are looking good on your blood work, that indicate good kidney function, you should be doing fine, even if you have a high uric acid number. That's what I kind of take from this. I'm not a doctor like this guy is, but I'm trying to parse together what he's saying in a way that makes sense.
It's like immediately pain goes away, and you can keep it up with a few days of indocin that usually takes care of the problem. But sometimes this is so painful, you cannot, any kind of movement can cause problems. So I either give you a boot, and sometimes I have to put a cast on it to really immobilize the area, because then you don't want any movement, because movement causes a lot of pain. Let's get into the holistic treatment that I would like you to try first. If you start feeling this coming on, or you need to live like this all the time so that you don't have this flare up all the time whenever you're having some beer. It always happens like a July 4th weekend. The week after, I see a lot.
Coffee is good? I see that listed under the notes here for hydration. That's interesting, because I've always heard that it has a dehydrating effect.
Gout patients come in because they were barbecuing, right? They were having barbecue with really a lot of heavy red meat. On top of that, they're drinking beer all day long, and then it can really flare up the gout. So I really like you to hydrate first. It's very important. You have to drink half of your body weight in fluid ounce per day. If you weigh about 200 pounds, then about 100 fluid ounce, which is about 6 bottles of water. You have to drink that every day to really flush out all the toxins, flush out all the stuff in your kidneys. Your kidneys trying to get rid of all the stuff through your urine, and you need to really do that daily basis. Okay, you need to increase your kidney function. And this is very important. Coffee. I drink coffee too. Coffee is really actually good for you if you just don't put a lot of junk in it. Coffee itself is natural. It does a lot of really good. But coffee actually works to decrease the amount of uric acid production in your body. Let me repeat that. Actually, coffee is good for you for your gout. So it actually works against that enzyme that produces purine to uric acid.
I know a lot of coffee lovers out there that want to do carnivore diet are going to be excited about that one. I still don't know. I don't like when my heart rate increases so fast when I add coffee to my diet, because I get notifications on my watch that when I drink coffee, it causes my heart rate to increase even when I'm not doing very much, and that seems like a negative side effect to me. But you know, being able to reduce the ability to have gout might make it worth looking at again. You know, addicts will find any reason to love something that they want to be able to bring back in. And coffee has been one of those ones that's been on the fence for me for so long, because so many people love bulletproof coffee on this diet. I've tried bulletproof coffee, which is basically just butter and MCT oil and coffee. And I used to think the whole idea of putting butter in coffee sounded crazy until I found out that heavy cream is all you need to make butter, and you just whip it until it separates, and the liquid that's left over is buttermilk, and you get rid of the buttermilk and you have butter. So essentially you're taking cream without the buttermilk, and when you put butter in your coffee, that's what you're having. Crazy. I got a dog begging to come in. Hold on just a moment. Come on, Bria. I don't know why she wants to be in here. I can't run the air conditioner when I'm working in here, and it's hot.
It prevents that from happening, so it's a very powerful way to reduce the amount of uric acid is to drink coffee. Next one is alkalizing. We talked about alkalizing your body. There are many different ways to do it, and the first ways to do it is the food. Juicing celery is probably one of the best things to do, not only for your gout, it's really good for your blood pressure problem, cholesterol problem. It literally cures so many different problems. Celery is probably one of the best things you can juice on a daily basis. Really, really powerful way to alkalize your body. Tart cherries, we talked about eating about 10 tart cherries every night. There are a lot of medical journal articles touting the effect of taking 10 tart cherries every night to prevent gout. And also lemon also helps to alkalize your body.
I'm not so keen on those first two recommendations. Juicing anything to me is a bad idea, because it just puts too much of the carbohydrates that are in those foods into what you're drinking. And then tart cherries and lemon, those are a couple of things that it comes to vegetables that I have considered, is this a good thing to bring back or not? But since I haven't had any troubles that I know of that those would fix, I haven't brought lemon specifically back in. I never would have thought of tart cherries, but lemon is one that I had considered in the past, that maybe a little lemon in the water is not a bad thing. But it's one that's still on the table for me, but I haven't really given it a whole in-depth look. Avoiding acidic foods now, this is going to be key, because he's mentioning 3 things right off the bat. 5, all 5 of the ones that are mentioned there. Seed oils, fructose, sugar, grains, alcohol. All of those are on my do not enter list when it comes to what I put in my mouth. That could go a long way to explaining how I can do an all-meat diet and not have any gout symptoms, because I'm not eating any of that stuff.
And then you need to avoid all these things. Seed oil we talked about, vegetable oil, canola oil, soy oil, a lot of vegetable oil you need to stop. Fructose, a lot of fructose corn syrup, or a lot of soft drinks, a lot of things that are made of fructose, your fruits too, you have to be careful, and a lot of grains also. And we talked about alcohol and beer and wine. You have to really reduce the amount. That would alkalize your body a little bit more. And then you also eat potassium-rich food. There are fruits and vegetables, obviously. You have to take it easy on the fruits a little bit, but more vegetable, Brussels sprouts and broccoli. But we talked about asparagus, and then cauliflower, and then spinach, not good for you, right? Those are high purine ones, so you really try to, they look really good. They look like a really good, like spinach seems to be really good food for your alkalis, but actually it has a lot of purine, so it doesn't belong to this particular group. And then you use a lot of healthy oil rather than vegetable oil. You're gonna use avocado, coconut oil, olive oil, and the macadamia nuts has the most amazing amount of combination of good oil. And then pecan, omega-3, you need to take that as your supplement. Very, very important to alkalize your body. And also with herbs, there are a lot of great herbs that does it, celery and ginger, dandelion, cinnamon, milk thistle, rosemary, hibiscus, turmeric. And these are really powerful agents to alkalize your body. So these are the herbs that I like to take. I take every one of these every day. So it's really, really
I don't take any of the last two things that he talked about to help alkalize your body, and I seem to be doing fine. It probably has a lot to do with eliminating all of the things that do cause you to have the pH that you don't want to have for gout to be formed. I'm not going to totally discount what he's saying about these things, because some people may get good results with this. But what I'm saying is as a carnivore, as somebody who has gone strictly meat, I have had no issues with gout, and all I eat is red meat, and I don't add these things at all either, and I've been doing fine. But I'm just assuming that these are answers for people who are eating the standard American diet, that you need to stop doing this and you need to start doing this. Because his whole shtick has nothing to do with carnivore at all. He's just dealing with gout here. And we'll look at a carnivore doctor in just a moment and see their take on it as well. But this is just, anecdotal information to put together. And it should be scientific technically, because he's a doctor and he's a podiatrist. But let's keep going so we can get through all this information in a relatively short amount of time.
Important to alkalize your whole body. Next one is a supplement. There's a lot of great supplements. I can talk on and on about supplements. I have another video on my YouTube channel about the supplements too, so you can watch some of that. But vitamin C and D's, very important. Quercetin is an amazing immune system builder. Also, it's an amazing supplement to help you tamp down the inflammation.
I didn't even realize that's what I've been taking quercetin. I thought it was quercetin. I've been saying it wrong. I say things wrong all the time. I'm like Greg on Dharma and Greg. I get all the words wrong. So quercetin, I really thought that was quercetin, but I can see why it's not now, because there's no R after the C. Anyway, quercetin. I don't know. I don't know if he said it right either. But I've been taking that with zinc, and I haven't noticed anything positive or negative. I've been taking that for about a month now. And the reason I was taking it was to help try to relieve some of my allergies, but I'm still having the same allergies that I had before. Anyway, just thought I would point that out because I saw that about the, however you pronounce it.
Luteolin and potassium citrate, we talked about that. The pills that you can take, baking soda, you can mix it in the warm water and drink that to really quickly alkalize your body.
By the way, I do get a lot of potassium citrate because almost all I drink is club soda. I do have occasionally just water, but for the most part, it's almost all club soda, and it has potassium citrate in it.
Magnesium, excellent. It does more than 600 different reactions in your body. Very, very amazing thing you need to be taking every day. More than 95% of the people in the United States deficient in magnesium, which is a devastating problem. Causes all kinds of cramps, all kinds of other issues. And then astaxanthin is an amazing thing that only discovered like a few years ago. It's very powerful, one of the most powerful antioxidants. It's 600 times stronger than other antioxidants such as vitamin C. So astaxanthin is a very powerful antioxidant and anti-inflammatory, and it's amazing for uric acid level. Apple cider vinegar, you take that in a warm water, and it's a little bit yucky. You can, I personally take it, but it's yucky to take the fluid. So I get capsule form, and I just take that, which is really, really good for your diabetes and metabolism.
I don't know, apple cider vinegar could cure cancer, and I still wouldn't drink it. Oh, it's awful.
And it does so many different things. Apple cider vinegar, krill oil, bromelain, these are amazing supplements you can take to really tamp down inflammation and help your gouty flare-up. Exercise, we talked about exercise, high intensity interval training. It's a very intense training, but it really brings out really good hormone, strong, powerful growth hormone, strength hormone that comes out. So it's really an important exercise. There's another video that I talk a lot about this, so you can watch my other videos about this. Strength training, I really highly recommend building your muscle to balance your water and balance your sugar a lot better. You need to build muscle. I know a lot of people do a lot of aerobics, which is really, really good for your heart and your other systems, but you need to build your muscles because that's the most important thing. That's a storage area for your water and your sugar. So you need more storage in your body to be able to fight all the acidity, all these other issues that you have. And then there's a lot of great stretching you can do to really improve all of that circulation, all the inflammation will be tamped down at the same time. And then now you need to decrease stress and increase sleep. Now, I need to say any more about the stress. There's a lot of stress that causes inflammation. One of the things that I really recommend people doing, it's called the earthing. It's called grounding. When you see the plug against the wall, there's a 3 plug, there's one at the bottom one, that's called the grounding. That's electricity flowing. You need to ground it, if not, you'll be electrocuted, right? So what we do is we have a lot of electricity flowing in our body. We need to drain all this acidity and electricity out of the brain, out of your body by walking barefooted on the earth, like on the grass, on the beach. When you do that, all that gets drained out and all that neutralizes a lot of acidity on your body. So it's an amazing thing you can do on a daily basis. If you live near the beach, go to the beach. If you have a park, go out there and go barefooted, walk around.
Hold on, I gotta let these dogs out. I'm gonna talk about this for a second too. They're all excited because my wife just got home. They always get excited when she gets home.
Hi, babies!
Hey,
Are you talking to someone?
I'm talking to the world.
Oh, well, hi, babies! Come on, everybody.
So as I was saying, they love when my wife comes home. And anyway, earthing, this is one of those things that I do it, but I always feel like I'm doing something that I'm not sure if it's really I'm not sure if it's all it's cracked up to be. It sounds like it makes sense, though. It sounds like it makes sense. It just doesn't feel like I'm doing anything. A lot of times when I take supplements, I don't feel like I'm doing anything either. And they might be actually helping. So I do it. Mostly because I'm lazy and don't want to put on my shoes, and I'll go walk around barefoot in the yard. But I do that a lot.
You look a little funny, but it really helps your balance the whole system. So really important. And then obviously getting more sleep, getting better sleep will be an excellent way to go. I have other videos talking about my sleep pattern, what I do every day also. So you can look for the video to watch that at the same time. And then lose weight and control diabetes. Now, one of the most important thing about all of this, losing weight and controlling diabetes, is one word, well, 2 words: intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting. When you starve yourself for a long period of time, daily or weekly or monthly or yearly, if you do a lot of the fasting, then it empties out a lot of the sugar in your system, which causes your inflammation and uric acid to come about, because it causes a lot of acidity in your whole body. So it's very important for you to do the intermittent fasting. And there are other videos that I made about this as well. So you watch that video. It's very important. Go research, do more. Just tell me if you want to know more about it. I can do a whole video on intermittent fasting and the way I do it, that way it works for me. But it's really important to do this to lose weight and control your diabetes. And then your diabetic diet and exercise. Obviously, exercise is very important. We talked about that already. But when you do your fasting properly, when you eat in a proper manner, proper things, but also proper timing of a cycle of fasting versus eating and doing it the right way.
Okay, it looks to me like we're kind of at the end of this video here. I don't want to keep going because time is becoming an issue. And I do want to get one carnivore doctor's perspective on this as well and see what they say. So let me take a look here. And I want to summarize what I was able to take from what Kim said, Dr. Kim said, is that essentially I'm doing a lot of positive things that help to keep me from getting gout, like exercise, and I'm not eating a lot of the things that cause those problems. I am eating things that tend to not cause my pH to be out of balance. Even though I have a lot of red meat, it's not enough to overcome the fact that my kidneys are working better. They're getting rid of everything that needs to be gotten rid of, and I'm not producing the endogenous uric acid any faster because of what I'm eating. So it's only the exogenous uric acid that's being affected, if it's being affected at all, because I've cut out so much of the other stuff, and those things we know are harmful for you. They might ultimately be, in my opinion, the only reason for gout. But let's take a look and see why Dr. Ken Berry says what causes gout, meat doesn't cause gout in parentheses, and this was updated for this year. So let's go and take a look at this one.
Hey, this is Dr. Barry. For the next few minutes, let's talk about a disease or a disease process that plagues millions of people with severe joint pain, and that's gout. Now, you may or may not know, I'm a family doctor, board certified, licensed in the state of Tennessee in the U.S., and I've been practicing medicine for 20 years, and I've seen lots of people with gout, and I've seen the people who follow the standard diet recommendations and take the standard pills who still continue to have severe debilitating gout attacks. And I've also seen another subset of my patient population who bucked the trend. They didn't follow the standard advice. They didn't take the standard pills, and they have almost no gout flare-ups whatsoever. And I want to talk to you about the difference between these two patient populations and why you need to be in the former and not the latter. Now, first of all, everybody knows we were taught that if you want to not get gout and not have gout flare-ups, you need to eat low fat, you need to eat a low purine diet, you need to avoid red meat, you need to avoid seafood, and these are just not true. And I'm going to go into the science behind this. Now, first of all, I'm going to give you some facts about uric acid, about gout, about purine metabolism. If you have gout, these terms, you're familiar with all of them. I'm not going to go into the to gout anatomy, physiology, and pathophysiology because I'm sure you've already watched a YouTube video about that if you have gout. But here's the thing. We're taught that eating lots of purines, right, will increase your uric acid ultimately, and that'll lead to gout attacks. Well, here's a problem with that, and I want you to think about this fact. You make purines in your body. Now, where do they come from? Anytime anytime a cell breaks down ATP for energy or GTP for energy, purine is created, okay? Anytime you break down DNA or RNA, purine is created. And so we call these endogenous purines because you make them yourself. What everybody's telling you is to avoid exogenous purines by eating a low purine diet. But the problem is your body actually makes 5 to 10 times as many purines from the breakdown of energy and DNA and RNA than you could ever eat if you ate a high purine diet every day of your life. Your body makes way more purines than you could ever eat. So first of all, that'd be like telling someone, oh, don't pour that cup of water in the ocean because you might flood the entire world. You make 5 to 10 times more purines than you could ever eat on a high purine diet. So you can see.
Man, is that a light bulb moment? Because I felt like, that was a big part of the having gout problem was that if your body is producing 2/3 of the purines that are in your blood for the purposes that Dr. Kim had mentioned before that were good for your body and good for your well-being for that matter, then why would it be bad? It seemed to me like the big key was getting out the uric acid when you're done. And that again goes back to kidney function. And here he's pointing out that you couldn't eat enough purines to even have an effect on the number of purines, that it's like a drop of water in the ocean in comparison. So that totally takes meat off the table, and because that was the last thing on the table for Dr. Kim that he had mentioned that I shouldn't be eating, and that's all I eat. That's, to me, that goes a long way because it's the only thing anybody has said that explains what had happened.
You can see that eating a low purine diet suddenly is called into question. Does that make any sense? Secondly, I've checked uric acid levels on thousands of patients in my time in the clinic, and I found multiple people who have an elevated uric acid level in their blood, but they don't have gout, and they've never had a gout attack. Now, if high uric acid causes gout, why don't these people have gout and have gout attacks? That's a second fact to ponder. Third, we're all taught that uric acid crystals, they look like broken shards of glass under a microscope. That's totally true. But we're taught that if these get into your joint, you'll have a gout attack. The problem with this, and the fact I want you to ponder, is that if you withdrew synovial fluid from a joint, just a normal joint, not a gouty joint, there are uric acid crystals in normal joints. These people don't have pain, they don't have inflammation, they don't have a gout attack, but uric acid is in their joints. In fact, if I came to your house right now and withdrew some joint fluid from your big toe joint or your knee joint or ankle joint, there would be uric acid crystals in there. Not many, but there would be some. That should cause a little pain if it's in fact the uric acid broken shards of glass that cause pain and gout. Next, did you know that uric acid, your body actually uses it as an antioxidant? Yeah. Your body has multiple uses for uric acid, and that's the next fact to ponder. And then that leads me directly to the final fact to ponder, is that uric acid is excreted in the kidney. We all know that. But did you know that in the proximal convoluted tubule of the kidney, your body actually reabsorbs over 50% of the uric acid that was initially put into your urine? And so your body's excreting uric acid, but then the kidney is turning right around and reabsorbing over 50% of that uric acid. Now, if uric acid were really bad and dangerous, would your kidneys be doing that? I say no. That's the final fact to ponder. Now, next we're going to go to lies that you can just totally forget because they're obviously silly. They're not true. They don't help you to prevent you from having gout, and they don't keep you from having gout flare-ups.
All right, so if it's not uric acid being present in the joints, and it's not purine that you're eating because the amount of purine you're making, what does cause gout?
These are a low purine diet. We've already covered this. Eating a high purine diet has nothing to do with gout, okay? And the research, when you actually look at it, it's pretty clear that many people eat a high purine diet. They never have gout. Many people with gout eat a super low purine diet and they keep having flare-ups. It's got to be something else. The next one is that you should eat lots of fruit and veg. You should drink the juices of lots of fruits. Certain fruits are magic, lime juice, lemon juice. Certain veg is magical, celery juice, cherry juice. All these things were taught. There's no basis in research for this whatsoever. It doesn't make any common sense. Our ancestors.
Funny, it's almost like he's referring to the videos that I just watched.
100,000 years ago never made juices from any of these things, and actually this is terrible advice, and I'll get to that later. Next is you need to take a pill every day, a prescription pill. This is a lie you can forget. You don't have an allopurinol deficiency. You don't have a euloric deficiency. These pills do something that I'll talk about in a minute. But you don't need these pills if you eat the proper diet. You don't need extracts of celery, of cherry. You don't need lemon, lime. You don't need any of this stuff. None of this stuff. These are lies you can just forget. You don't need to buy anyone's gout supplement or gout powder or gout protein shake. None of that stuff. You don't need any of that, okay? The next lie you can totally forget is that the reason you have gout flare-ups is that your blood is too acidic. This is a very sophomoric lie that many people trying to sell supplements and pills and powders will tell you. I worked in the emergency department for thousands of hours. I've drawn arterial blood gases on thousands of patients. You cannot meaningfully alter a human being's blood acidity or alkalinity level by eating celery or cherries or any of that.
Man, he's totally like debunking everything Dr. Kim said. But yet it was questions that I had when I was listening to it, as I was thinking to myself, how do I affect my body's acidity? But here he is saying that it doesn't.
Foolishness. None of that helps. The next is that you need to eat very low fat. Eating fat, whether it's saturated fat or unsaturated fat, has absolutely nothing to do with uric acid production, with joint inflammation. It has nothing to do with that. Now we're done with the lies you can forget. Next, we're going to move on to truths to apply to your uric acid gout situation. And then I'm going to talk about the 10 steps that you can apply right now to keep from ever having another gout flare-up. Now, the truths that I want you to understand about gout, there's no doubt about this. The research shows it, the common sense verifies it. Inflammation is the problem. Inflammation is the problem. Gout is inflammatory in nature, okay? If someone has a gout attack in a joint, they have inflammation in that joint. Now, remember, even a normal joint can have uric acid crystals, so that's not necessarily the cause. The cause is inflammation. And in fact, when you come to me as a doctor and say, oh my God, I've got a gout attack.
There's the answer right there. God, he could have led with that. But then I guess we wouldn't have watched the whole video. Inflammation. Inflammation is the key. And that's one of the things that for when you're on a diet like I'm on, my inflammation markers are next to nothing. I think they did an inflammation marker test that was 1 to 10 and mine was a 1. So it was as low as it could possibly be. I don't have inflammation. So even though I might have acidity and a lot of uric acid, and even though my kidney is working hard and getting rid of a lot of that uric acid, if I do have that in my blood, not having inflammation makes all the difference, and I don't get gout flare-ups. To me, that's the smoking gun. That's the answer right there, is that it explains why I can eat all meat and not have gout, is because it's not specifically about the uric acid. It has more to do with the inflammation. The uric acid is a part of the problem, but it's a part of the problem only if you have inflammation.
It's killing me. What do I give you? Do I give you a medicine that quickly gets all the uric acid out of your body? No, that's not how you manage an acute gout attack. I give you an anti-inflammatory, whether that's a steroid or non-steroidal anti-inflammatory. That's what's going to relieve your pain.
That explains why they work so good to relieve the pain so quickly, is it's eliminating the inflammation. And I don't know why I didn't draw that conclusion earlier, because I remember thinking about that football player that was so great, Oronde Gadsden, during the Miami Dolphins in the 1990s. This guy could make circus catches, but I found out that he had terrible ankles. Like, they were in such bad shape that he used to have to get a cortisone shot before every game to take down the inflammation so that he could even play the game. And I remember learning about that and thinking, wow, that's interesting that something can take away pain like that, and it's not actually a drug for numbing the pain, but taking away the inflammation. And I didn't put those two together until just now.
Is by getting rid of the inflammation. So it stands to reason that if you eat a diet and live a lifestyle that's uninflammatory, you'll be much less likely to get gout. Next is fructose. Fructose is proven in multiple studies, and it makes sense on many levels that drinking lots of fructose is a terrible idea if you want to not have gout attacks. Stop drinking fruit juices. Stop drinking any soft drink or any drink that has high fructose corn syrup or sucrose, because sucrose is made of glucose and fructose. So anything that has sucrose in it or fructose is going to increase your likelihood of having a gout attack.
So many foods.
I would cut down on the amount of fruit, even raw, organic, non-GMO fruit. I would cut down on that if you've been diagnosed with gout. But definitely get the soft drinks and the fruit juices out of your diet. They're going to make things worse. Next is having an elevated insulin level in your blood is causing this. That's a big part of the cause, is if you're chronically hyperinsulinemic because you're eating too many carbohydrates on a daily basis, that will greatly increase your risk of a gout attack. Next is alcohol. Alcohol is absolutely causal. It works on both ends of this equation to increase your risk of having gout. Beer's the absolute worst. Wine and spirits come in a close second. If you've been diagnosed with gout, you want to stop the alcohol. I'm sorry. I promise you, not having a gout flare-up is much more fun than any fun you could ever have from drinking alcohol. And then the last truth to apply, you hear this on the internet, oh, you shouldn't drink coffee. That'll cause acidity in the blood and that'll cause a gout attack. That's complete rubbish. There's actually meaningful research that shows that the more coffee you drink, the less likely you are to have a gout attack. So stop being afraid of coffee. Coffee.
There you go, my coffee lovers out there. There's two doctors, both sides of the fence, both okay with coffee. So it's another reason why I'm on the fence about it, but it's just I like to be able to go without it. My biggest problem is that I've been working a swing shift now for several months, and when I work late and I work in the morning, my sleep pattern is all, my circadian rhythm is a disaster right now. And it really is affecting my overall sleep. So I use coffee to stay awake at night when I was up too early, or to get up early when I was up too late. And it's something I wish I didn't need, but I want to be able to say that it's not the coffee that's the problem. It's what I'm doing that's requiring me to need the coffee. Because for a year and a half, I didn't touch coffee on this diet. And I always had energy. The moment I woke up, I was ready to go. And when I went to bed at night, I put my head down on the pillow and I was out. The only thing that has changed that is working a weird schedule and getting my circadian rhythm out of balance. So, gosh, I found an excuse to like coffee again. I guarantee you this is going to make it harder for me not to drink it now. And it's probably going to make it harder for you too, but there you go.
Is your friend. Alcohol is not your friend. Now let's get on to the 10 steps that you can start applying right now so that you're never going to have another gout attack, because that's what I want for you. So the 10 steps are, the first one is obviously stop drinking any alcohol. You just can't. If you have elevated uric acid, if you've had gout attacks in the past or a gout flare-up, or you've been diagnosed with gout, alcohol is not your friend. You need to stop that. Secondly,
just by the way he phrased that, uric acid is still part of the problem, but it's not the quantity of uric acid that's as big of a problem as the inflammation is. Because obviously it's using the uric acid, those shards are being affected by the inflamed area and exacerbating the inflammation as well. That's the way that I take it. But it's the inflammation, I think, is still the big key to this whole thing. And the diet that I'm eating is very anti-inflammatory.
Tons of research that show that being obese or overweight is directly related to gout attacks. You've got to lose fat. And the way to do that is to follow the diet. Next is you've got to decrease inflammation in your body. You've got to get rid of industrial seed oils. They cause inflammation, like canola, like margarine, like soybean, like corn oil, peanut oil. All of these things have a very bad omega-6 to omega-3 ratio, and they'll cause inflammation in your body. Inflammation, we now know, is one of the major causes of gout. Next is you've got to decrease the fructose. I've already talked about this, but this is one of the 10 steps. You've got to stop drinking high fructose corn syrup sweetened beverages. Any beverage sweetened with sucrose is going to increase your risk of gout. Any fruit juice that you drink, even non-GMO, organic, hand-picked, hand or foot stomped, it doesn't matter. It's full of fructose. It's going to increase your risk of having a gout flare-up. You can eat some occasional raw healthy fruit, that's okay, and berries, that's fine. But if you eat too much or drink too much, you're going to have a gout flare-up. Next is sugars and grains. Sugars and grains, and the reason I lump these together is because any grain, rice, wheat, oats, corn, when you break it down in your stomach acid, it immediately converts to glucose and fructose. Oh, wait. So sugars and grains are going to raise your blood sugar. That's going to make your blood insulin level go up. Remember, insulin, that's going to increase your risk of a gout flare-up. So sugars and grains are not your friends. Next is you want to keep the insulin level very low. And you do that by eating a low carbohydrate diet, whether it's low carb, keto, or carnivore. These diets are going to slash your risk of ever having another gout attack. Remember all the patients I said I'd seen in the past with gout? The diet that they follow is keto or low carb or carnivore. And when these patients would come back in, I would say, hey, you need a refill on your allopurinol? They're like, no, I stopped taking it. And I say, what? They're like, yeah, since I've been eating this diet, I haven't had a single gout flare-up, and I ran out of my allopurinol or my Uloric. I ran out of it 6 months ago, but I didn't come for a refill because I haven't had any more attacks. That makes me very happy as a doctor. Next is you've got to get plenty of magnesium and potassium in your diet, whether you do this by eating magnesium and potassium rich foods, or whether you do this with a liquid supplement. And I'll put a link down below if you just rather use a liquid instead of trying to get lots of magnesium and potassium foods in your diet. These have been shown in research to decrease your risk of a gout attack. Next is you want to make as many ketones as you can. Beta hydroxybutyrate is an excellent anti-inflammatory. I don't want you to drink exogenous ketones. I want you to make your own ketones, and you do that by eating a ketogenic or a carnivore diet. Lastly, I want you to not be afraid of coffee. Drink your coffee, and that can be 1 cup a day or 5 cups a day. There's no research that shows that it's bad for you in any way whatsoever, regardless of what you might have heard on the internet. But there is research that shows that coffee drinkers have fewer gout attacks. These are the things you want to avoid if you want to avoid gout. Stop the alcohol, stop the fruit juices, the soft drinks, all these things that raise your blood sugar and raise your insulin. Stop the seed oils, the things that raise your levels of inflammation in your body. And gout will be something that you talk about in the past, not something that you fear in the future.
All right, it sounds like he's wrapped up what he's talking about here when it comes to gout, and that means he's covered everything I want him to cover. You can see all three of those videos. I'll have linked in the description because I don't want to just take their work and share it without giving them any credit or an option for you to go and check out their channel and check out their links, especially Dr. Barry, because I'm going to tell you, between the two of the doctors, when I was listening to Dr. Kim, I had a lot of moments where I said, okay, I see that. But it was like I didn't get a big reveal that explained anything to me as to why I'm not getting gout when I'm eating only red meat, other than possibly the fact that my kidneys are functioning better. And when I listen to Dr. Barry, it's like one aha moment after another. I mean, all 10 of those things he mentioned at the end, I'm already doing, including having coffee occasionally, because I've been doing it, like I said, now for several months. And if I'm doing all of the things that help prevent gout, with the exception of what they say is eating red meat, and Dr. Barry explains that you couldn't eat enough purines to even make a difference in the amount of uric acid. It's the eating of the food that I eat that eliminates inflammation that is the overall key. And all of the other stuff to me is just extra. Like it helps a little here, it helps a little there. But the key thing is getting rid of that inflammation. And I think that's going to be the answer for those of you who are out there and are wondering what's the deal with gout and how can I eat red meat and not have to worry about uric acid and things like that, is that your inflammation should be down. You can get your inflammation markers checked when you're getting those markers checked for uric acid and things like that. So be sure to ask about it. That way you can see my inflammation is lower while I'm on this diet and I'm not getting any symptoms of gout. Even though I have purines or I have uric acid or the numbers aren't showing that they show like they should be your gout in your system, but you're not. Like he said, if you have high uric acid, but you're not having any symptoms, then it's quite possibly and most likely the fact that you just don't have the inflammation there to create the problem with that uric acid. Well, that's all I've got to say about this issue. I'm glad we looked at it together, because by covering these videos together with you, I was able to put it better together in my head than I have, and I've seen several videos on the subject in the past. And hopefully we all come away from this knowing a little bit more. Stick around if you don't mind for just a moment while I give you a quick message from one of my sponsors, Vintage Tradition. They have made a great product. It's all animal-based product that's great for your skin. Take a look. I wanted to try out this new skincare product that I bought on Amazon called Vintage Tradition. The whole food of skincare, a little goes a long way. Tallow from 100% grass-fed cows, cold-pressed extra virgin olive oil, therapeutic grade essential oils, cedar wood, ylang-ylang, lavender, and basil. As opposed to using chemical-based cream like this that I usually use after I shave, at least all the ingredients in here are natural. This stuff really does seem to go a long way. I like it. It's definitely soothing to my skin. It doesn't have the burning sensation that it had when I got out of the shower. Vintage Tradition. Might want to give it a try. Vintage Tradition even makes products for the ladies. My wife loves the Pretty Girly Tallow Balm,
Because it feels really good. And it smells really good.
I'll put a link in the description for this. Try it out and see what you think. I'll see you guys next time.
If we pay extra, could we maybe get some grease or fat?